Xbox, Record This is a podcast celebrating all things gaming, Xbox, and the good old days. If you'd like to find out more, head to xboxrecordthis.com. Hey guys, Daddy Diwali here. I just wanted to let everyone know that we had some audio and video recording issues. We use this program called Riverside, and unfortunately, it didn't capture the video and audio for Chipotle Bear. So I just want to let you know that this is like the backup file that Riverside provides. So I just want to apologize in advance for the poor audio and video. And I did my best on the audio podcast, so that might be better to listen to. But again, I just want to apologize for the quality of this video, and hopefully next week we won't have the same problem. So thanks again, guys. Here's the show. Oh, hello. Daddy Diwali here, and welcome to Xbox Record This, episode 5. And I see corners, so I have to ignore them so I don't laugh. Anyway, welcome to the show, you guys. I'm so excited for this one. I just want to say, as always, joining me, and this is a special announcement that I haven't told anyone else. I haven't even told the crew right now. Joining me permanently, as always, as the official assistant to the co-host, Chipotle Bear. How are you? Welcome to the show.
I'm great, Diwali. Thank you for having me. You just warmed my heart right there. I thought I warmed it with the pizza I was just eating before the show, but that actually made it even 10 times better. So thank you so much for that. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here. Love it.
So N7 endorsement was here and he just left, guys. So looks like he officially joined the show. What do we do, Chpo? Do I stop and restart? Or maybe do you think he hung up thinking he just rejoined, but I don't know if he can join now. What if he's trying to get back in?
Will it let him join if we're already recording?
I don't think it will. I bet he was trying to be funny and be like, I'm going to hang up on these guys and then rejoin. God dang it.
This again.
Oh,
there he is.
Oh, there he is. Guys.
He's back.
What an amazing turn of events. We got him back. We got him back. So anyway, before I introduce the potential third part of this tripod in the XRT podcast, I just want to say, Chapo Bear, the reason I wanted to officially welcome you to the crew is because my twin daughters had their second birthday party. And I just want to point out that Jose came to the party and N7 endorsement did not make it to the party. So he is forever just going to continue to dig himself deeper, and we'll see if we can maybe get him as a permanent member.
In his defense, I drove a whopping 4 minutes to go to the party. He would have driven like 45 minutes. Just throwing that out there.
Nonetheless, you made it there. So like I said before, there is another person here. N7 endorsement, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back, and I didn't make it to the party. It was a week.
There we go. Now he's got the excuses. Anyway, I'm just giving you crap, endorsement. I'm just giving you crap. Relax over there. Well, guys, I am very excited for the show. Like I mentioned earlier, I'm going to bring back up those notes really quick. Big news. I just wanted to, as always, thank all of our listeners out there. It's very exciting to see our podcast grow. And on that growth note, I just wanted to say we have hit over 100 plays for our podcast. So I just want to give all of you guys a round of applause. I'm impressed by that because honestly, maybe 5 of our friends listen to the show and us. So we're not the only ones listening. So thank you to all our listeners out there. Chapo, do you have anything to say about that?
Just 1,000 thank you worldwide, to everybody out there. It's honestly just, like I said, it's just something we want to do for fun. And if people are enjoying it, if it makes one person happy, that makes us happy. So thank you for listening. Exactly. And, don't be afraid to also send in feedback or ideas or stuff. We would love to mention you and thank you personally for those contributions for sure.
N7 endorsement, would you like to say anything?
100 thank yous.
Okay, thank you. But no, for real, I that's really awesome. I think it's cool that we've hit that milestone. So thank you. And like Chapo Bear said, please send the feedback and send the submissions. I really want to have a little bit more audience participation besides those normal suspects, although they do send us some good questions. So um, I just wanted to ask you guys, how were your weeks? Apparently, N7 Endorsement had a horrible week, and I would just like to go first. I forgot to tell you guys last week that I had tickets to the Nuggets game when they played Portland and it went into double overtime. And Damian Lillard, the freak, hit two three pointers and scored 55 points to send it into overtime and double overtime. What an incredible game. I'll never go to a better basketball game in my life. And the Nuggets won. So that was awesome. So not only did I get to go to two weddings in 2 weeks, I also went to a 10,000 capacity arena. So again, if I've gotten Rona, the vaccine works. And besides that, I did work remotely. And who cares about work? And then it was also Brooklyn, Madison, our daughter's second birthday on Friday. And we had a great birthday party and a great time. And I can't believe they're two. I don't remember the first year of their lives. I'll be honest, guys. Like it just was a blur for me. So
I gotta ask, how were the tickets to the Nuggets game? Because I'm not gonna lie, it looked like you were literally backed up to the edge of the arena.
it a shout out to Snelling. Snelling gave me those tickets. I just had to buy him a beer and food at the game, so that was awesome. It's actually he has a good technique. He gets third level because we're not rich. We can't get that club level or first level. That'd be amazing. But he gets third level, but on the third row, which is backed up against to where like the cement is. So there's nobody behind you or like the stairs are. So it's actually really good. There's nobody behind you to worry about that. You don't feel crammed. Or he likes to do the first row. And to be honest, I liked the seats. I was perfectly fine with them and I had a great time. So and seven indoors. And why don't you tell us what you did this week and then we'll get to Chapo.
Tried watching that game, but because of some crazy rights, it was only on the obscure NBC SN Northwest, and I was sitting there watching it on my phone, and so the ESPN app where it does every like 20 seconds, it downloads it, right? And so I would see like nothing. Oh, Damian Lillard ties it up, and Damian Lillard. Wow, what a game! I'm really happy you got to be there in person. That's yeah. Go to a live basketball game. And the outcome too, right? It was huge. What a game! I worked a lot. We had some other things going on. It was like I said, man, it was just a week. So glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you, N7 endorsement. And Chipotle Bear, how was your week, man?
Great. Before I chat, I do want to say happy birthday again to your beautiful girls, and thanks for the invite today. It was great to see you and Allie, of course. And same thing, always great to see Endorsement. And I definitely sympathize with the craziness of the end of the year. So it feels nice to be on the cusp of our version of summer. But this week was great. I mean, I was still at work as well, and we also had a friend in town, one of my wife's good friends from college, Claire, and it was great to see her. But definitely very busy. And one of the highlights of my week was something that I ate, which we'll talk about when we talk about what we eat this week. But other than that, just trying to get through the week, and we actually hired a good friend of mine into our school as another administrator. So that was a really great way to end the week. Really excited for Zach Morris, not the one from Saved by the Bell, but Zach Morris, our good buddy, who's now going to be the athletic director at Bear Creek, which I'm super pumped about. So great ending to the week, and of course, excited to be here for another episode of XRT.
Nice. I was actually going to ask you about Zach, and he's officially going to join us for basketball. He says he thinks so. I'll have to congratulate him about that. So I was actually going to ask you, so that's cool to hear. All right, boys, let's jump into it. What have we been playing? I'd like to start off to say I beat Control finally, and I'm going to give a little review about that. So I did force myself to beat it. I think I was on chapter 6 of 10, and as much as I wanted to play Mass Effect, I was like, I got to finish Control before I completely forget what's going on. Beat it, enjoyed the ending, or just completing the game, I should say, but I'll give my thoughts on that later. And then I'm also back to Mass Effect. I mean, what else would I be playing? I haven't even played any Warzone or Call of Duty in forever, so I've just been playing Mass Effect. I'm on Mass Effect 2. I just got to Horizon and met up with Ash, and so I'm about to continue building my team. So, Chapo, what have you been playing?
So I still continue to Mass Effect. Admittedly, I didn't get to play a whole lot this week because our friend was in town. I'm still on Mass Effect 1. I am actually on Novaria, but I've already taken care of Pharos and picked up Liara. So I'm kind of entering that. I'm finishing kind of that first chunk of the game. But really enjoying the graphics. The controls definitely are tighter. I do not like the controls of the Mako. I definitely am excited for that piece of RE or ME2 when I get there. But additionally, because I was one of the days I was chilling out with my 6-year-old Penelope, and she wanted to play video games, and Mass Effect isn't too bad, but I wouldn't play that with her. She wouldn't be able to control it anyway. And so we looked through the Games Pass store and we found one called Rain on Your Parade. And it's a really like silly, cute game, but basically you're a rain cloud and you have like objectives to like rain on people and events and stuff. And she was killing it, man. She got through like 35 levels on her own. And the one quick shout out about it that I thought was really cool was there's a couple levels where you're actually in the office like Dunder Mifflin. And like one of the objectives is like to knock over Kevin and he's holding chili. And you can see like Michael in his office, like creepily looking through the window and stuff. It was just a really cute touch for the game. So shout out to Rain on Your Parade if you want to check it out. If you have kids, it's a great game for kids to play, super easy controls. So that's what I've been playing this week.
Rain on Your Parade. Shout out to Gary Whitta, one of the writers of Rogue One, our friends over at the Kind of Funny XCast podcast. He has been raving about that game, and he also was playing it with his daughter and was like, I would have never discovered this game if it wasn't for Game Pass. It's a phenomenal game. My daughter loves it. So apparently I need to play it too, because he's like, this is actually a really great game. So
it is. It's
shout
really
out
good. It's really good.
To Rain on Your Parade. I'm going to have to check it out. And N7 Endorsement, what have you been playing?
Mixed it up a little bit and downloaded Man Eater, the game where you're a shark. It's like a shark RPG, and I know Daddy D Wally, you're talking often about wanting to try something new and just different. That hits that box for sure. It is totally different, and it's mindless. It's not gonna break any records or anything like that. But I've been having fun. At first, when it was the first level and all you're doing is eating other little fish and stuff, I was like, oh, I could play this with Cora. And she walked in and was like, that looks awesome. And then it gets a little different. Yeah. And you're going after fishermen on boats and stuff and golfers that walked too close to the water. But that's been fun. Outside of that, obviously still just Mass Effect. And I got through 2. Finished the Overlord DLC, and I just have the Shadow Broker left to do. I did notice, and I wanted to point out, I don't think that kill 2,000 enemies achievo is glitched. It says you have to do it on 1, 2, or 3. It doesn't just say do it between them or and. It says or. So I am going to stay and keep going on 2 until I get that.
Yeah, and another note on that. Sorry, Chapo. Another note on that achievement. I remember you said it took you 2 tries to get the Paramour, and I'm pretty sure it's because everything resets. Because like I look at that now in my, when you can look at your achievements in there and your captain's quarters, and my Paramour 1 isn't checked. So I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have to have the the relationship twice to get that to pop, and I did get the 2,000 kills. I made sure and sit at that one part where you're with for Morden, and those people keep coming through the gates that you have to shut down. You remember that chance where they're coming through?
Yep.
So I just sat there for a while, just killed a bunch of enemies, but I did get to 2,000. So I'm glad that's over with. So I'll let you know if I have to do the Paramour twice. So it doesn't surprise me.
That could be because I think
you did it twice
in the first game. If you think about it, you only had one option of romance, and in that second game you could romance whoever you wanted.
You're right.
But then once with the Shadow Broker, you could romance Liara again to make it 2, and in the third game I think you can just go buck wild. So that
you're right, and don't forget, Shady, I just want to say I hope you're saving Arrival for the absolute last thing you do in Mass Effect 2, because that's would be the last thing you play DLC wise. That feeds into ME3 if you didn't know that already.
Jeez Louise, yeah, duh. I didn't do Overlord or Shadow Broker.
I was gonna ask, what's your playtime right now? I just want to know.
So I'll look it up. It wasn't.
While you looked it up,
that was glitched.
I think the true way you're supposed to do it is you can do Overlord anytime while you're recruiting. Shadow Broker should be right before the suicide mission, and then Arrival after. I've read a bunch of this on Reddit. I'm nerdy Reddit threads about the correct order of the DLCs. So I did get Kasumi, did get that nice SMG, so that's been nice to have. I'm playing Vanguard, by the way, guys. I've never played Vanguard in Mass Effect 2 because I was always Soldier for the what's the hardest difficulty in the Insanity run. So I'm liking it, but the thing that's difficult about Mass Effect 2 is that you can only use one power at a time. The cooldown is just for like you use one and you have to wait to use that power again. So whereas in Mass Effect 3 you had like 3 separate cooldowns, which made a lot more sense, or 2 or whatever it is. And so the biotic powers are way more fun, and everything's better in 3 combat wise, and then it gets even better in Andromeda. But sorry, Chance, how much time have you played?
Figure it out on this stupid app.
It's okay. When you find it, we'll report back to you. Let's move on, guys. Let's do a little quick review because this is going to be like a quick review section if it ties into what we've been playing. Jose is going to give us a little quick review of Resident Evil 8. I'm going to do one for Control, and then Chance is going to do one for whatever game he chose. I don't know. But basically, we're going to do like quick review, pros, cons, and a little quick summary at the end. So I'll go first, gentlemen. I'm going to review Control. I just beat Control. I'd say the pros. Here we go. Pros. Great combat. Probably the best of all the Remedy games. Smooth 60 FPS in performance mode. I also played Control Ultimate Edition, so that's the upgraded one for Series X, Series S. So the original Control probably, I don't think you couldn't do 60. I thought the difficulty was fair, and it was a good game length. Cool collectibles, especially whenever I read about Alan Wake, I was like, oh my gosh, Alan Wake. I really love the live action videos that they have. Remedy kind of always has done that. I think that's so cool. More games should do that. And I thought it had an interesting story, but moving into the cons, the story was so confusing. I still have no idea what happened in the game or what it was about. Um, and I just am thinking that you have to be able to follow the game a little bit, and I still couldn't tell you what Control is about. And I died a few too many times falling and that were out of my control, like fighting certain bosses. I'd get hit, or I'd dash and I would just randomly fall. And that's how most of my deaths were, from falling randomly. So um, overall, I think that this game is worth playing for its uniqueness and gameplay. But at the same time, my biggest complaint is that the story is just a little too out there. I'm not the smartest man by any means, but this game was confusing, and I'm not sure why the game won so many Game of the Year awards. I remember it won a lot in, what was that, 2019, I think. But I appreciate and respect all the ideas, being so different from other games that I've played. And for me, I would still rank Alan Wake #1. I actually liked Quantum Break more as #2, and then Control would be my third favorite Remedy. I can't speak too much on the, Max Payne because I played those way later, and they didn't age well for me. So overall, 7 out of 10, a good game according to the XRT rating scale. Chappelle Bear, let's hear your little review on Resident Evil 8.
Yeah, so I actually finished playing this a week ago, but at the time we weren't really prepared for it. So I went ahead and did the review. Overall, pros for Resident Evil 8, it is absolutely visually stunning. I also should just mention I'm playing it on 4K, but it's like a pretty low end Vizio TV. So I have a lot of artifacts and my dimming zones are not plentiful. So that does make a big difference. I could imagine if I played on like Chance's OLED, there's a couple scenes that would be just absolutely spectacular. The environments are obviously beautiful, but also equally horrifying, and they definitely encourage you to explore everything. I really like when a game does that, where it's not so creepy that I don't want to move. I'm like paralyzed, but also I definitely want to explore for those collectibles and bonuses. Also, as an added bonus, if you do play with headphones, it really does add an awesome element because it's pretty much 360 surround audio, which is great, especially when you're fighting. There also were a couple of really awesome and unpredictable scares. I do like that occasionally, not a whole lot, but I do appreciate when I'm like genuinely like, oh man, they got me that time. Also a great variety of enemies and bosses, and a really great progression of kind of like, it starts out where you really are only taking on 2 or 3 at a time, and then it gets bigger and bigger. And there's a couple parts toward the end where you're hitting like a massive amount of enemies, which is not really common in Resident Evil games because usually it's like you just don't have enough ammo to do that. So that was really cool. Weapon system I already mentioned was really great, well-rounded. It encouraged you to upgrade and also to really be thoughtful about crafting. Usually I don't do a lot of the crafting in Resident Evil with the exception of maybe the herbs. But They did a great job with it this time, and I actually felt like this is one of the first times I actually used red barrels in games. You know what I'm talking about, like the exploding barrels. Usually, I just miss them in these kind of games because I'm too stressed looking around. But they did a great job with that. Go ahead, Diwali. What's up?
Forgot to say, try to keep this spoiler free. And I know you haven't spoiled anything, and I was just trying to. I should have mentioned that to you guys earlier. So spoiler. These are all spoiler free reviews for our audience.
Great point. I definitely try to do that as I was writing. There were a couple of nice Resident Evil cameos. I'm not going to say more than that, but that I did appreciate that. Also, a great introduction of a new character called the Duke, who is basically like the shopkeeper. He's gotten a lot of like online praise and stuff, but he was pretty dope. He was a great addition to the story. And ultimately, the last pro is that he was really a great sequel. RE8 is definitely a sequel to 7, not really a sequel to like 6 and 5. Mostly, there was a great twist that really made you ask questions, like in the moment where you're like, that doesn't make sense, but I got to keep going. And they did a great job of tying it all together. And then, of course, it makes me really excited for what they're going to do in the future. As for cons, I really only have a couple. One was the puzzles. They did have some puzzles, but they were extremely straightforward. Like they really was not a lot of thinking. And something that like Endorsement and I have always really loved about games are just challenging puzzles where you have to really think or find clues or read the story. And this really just didn't have that. So I would have loved to see that. There also were a couple of instances where the treasure you wanted, you had to do like a ton of backtracking, and there's no fast travel system. So it was just like just a little too much tediousness where I was like, I wish it would have just been easier. You know, I earned it. Let me just go grab that and move on. And then the last thing was I didn't love Ethan. I didn't love him in 7. I didn't see he fits into like the kind of canon characters, you know, the Jill Valentine's, the Claire Redfield, Chris Redfield. He just didn't fit into that squad with me. And so I know that it's not a spoiler because he's in the trailer. You do get to see Chris for a short amount of time, but I really am missing that kind of core character set back in the games. And so I'm hoping maybe in 9 they'll make a comeback, but we'll see. Overall, my rating, I would say definitely play the game, even if you are not usually into RE games. If you are, obviously it's a must play, but if you've never really been into survival horror, it is a great story. It'll keep you captivated, constant new stuff. It doesn't feel anything like tired. So my final rating is a 9 out of 10. I think it's an incredible game, definitely worth spending full price money on. Obviously, if you get it down the road with DLCs for a cheaper price, it's a no-brainer. So that's my review of Resident Evil 8.
Well, Bear, I need to get that next. That's got to be my next game after Mass Effect. And 7 endorsement. What would you like to? What are you going to give us a review on really quickly here?
Well, and I now that I know there's red barrels in Resident Evil 8, man, I mean, talk about a spoiler there. I guess I apologize, I misunderstood. I thought you were asking me to review Control on my own, Daddy D Wally, and before I had looked at this, so I was like, oh gosh, I don't know that I'm prepared for that. So I'm not going to do my own review, but I will add to one of the things to yours, and I think 7 makes perfect sense. It really made me feel like a superhero, right? Like even probably more so than that Marvel Avengers game did. Which, yeah, we'll talk about that maybe some other time or not. But that the powers that you had in Control were just really, really well done.
You're right. And as soon as you got I don't know if I want to say the power, the one where you can move around more, Chance. I don't want to. It's kind of. You know how paranoid I am about spoilers. I'm not going to mention
Yeah,
it.
and you shouldn't. It's just
It
know that they're
it is
really good,
awesome.
and
You're right. Being a superhero is a great way of putting it, and the combat was, like I said, the best part of it. So you're right. I did really appreciate that from Control. So, anything else you want to add to Control? Can you give it a number or no? What do you think?
I think 7 is right on. I was excited to play it. I enjoyed it. When I got to the end, I was like, yeah, no, I don't need any more. I wasn't like trying to like, oh God, I got to get to the end of this thing. Um, but again, the story, yeah. Oof. And especially because Quantum Break and Alan Wake were so good, right?
Yeah,
The stories in those were just wonderful. So,
yeah. And I mean, Alan Wake. Yeah, you're right. I mean, they were a little weird, but like I could follow it. I never felt like I could follow what was going on in Control. So, anyway, good games. I do think, from what I'm hearing, is that definitely worth playing for anyone. I mean, I think Control's on Game Pass, so absolutely play that. Resident Evil 7 Game Pass, absolutely play that. 8 may or may not be, but I'm gonna have to pay the money for it, and we'll see if I should pay full price. But guys, I've gotten so used to not buying games. Like I just play games on Game Pass. So let's move on to the main topic of this week, you guys. I'm super excited to hear what you guys have to say. E3 predictions, E3 2021, Xbox plus Bethesda. I am super pumped. I just want to start out by saying I tried to keep mine a little bit realistic and not crazy. And sometimes I like to get crazy, and maybe I'll share some of those later. But and I tried to keep it realistic, and I also tried to focus on Xbox first party that wasn't. I have no Bethesda, and I have no. I tried to keep it Xbox focused, like Coalition, 343, the initial studios that they have to see what they're doing. So that's where mine are. I'm so pumped to hear you guys. So how do you want to do this? Do you want to? I figure we should do one each. Do you want to start with me, and then I'll just go around. We'll just go Chapo and Seven. Okay, let's do it.
Oh no, I'll bet cleanup. Let endorsement go second.
Okay, and Seven. All right, here we go. My first official prediction for E3 2021. I lost my document. Just kidding, it's right here. Here we go. This is kind of a gimme, okay? But let's start off with a softball right here, okay? You're gonna be like, that's lame, whatever. Starfield is officially shown with gameplay along with the release date of 2022, and it is a Xbox Game Pass exclusive. So Starfield, we're gonna see it. It's gonna be a big part of the conference. 2022. I would love for it to be this year, but why do I do that? You have Halo and then have Starfield in the springs, and then it's going to be Game Pass exclusive. So wherever Game Pass exists, you'll be able to play Starfield. Do you guys have any thoughts about that, or Chapo, or sorry, N7 endorsement? Why don't you give us yours?
Yeah, so you stole two of mine with that one. So I'll give one that I don't think you'll have on here because you said you were trying to say Xbox exclusive, which I tried, but I was like, I really think this is coming.
Okay, let's hear it.
A Switch Pro announcement, which
That's what I'm up to.
yeah, dang it, see, I'm not gonna buy one. Right? That's the right answer. The right answer is I will not buy one.
Correct.
But I'm gonna be a little intrigued. And if they blow us all out of the water, and this isn't one of my things because we're staying realistic, but if they were like Switch Pro with Game Pass, I'd be like, take my money, and here's 7 more. Like, Daddy D Wally.
Here, guys. I hope you have more Xbox focused E3 predictions. Okay. We are an Xbox show first. I like having these other announcements, but when I think of other announcements, I was thinking like, oh, maybe like EA announces a game or Ubisoft or something like that, not Nintendo announcing the Switch Pro, which I will buy because I sold my Switch. So I'm waiting for that upgrade. But from now on, just as a future, I maybe have 4 specific Xbox related, but you know, it could be like you hear some of mine, you're like, well, that's not Xbox exclusive, just related to Xbox, and then maybe that one that's Nintendo announcing the Switch Pro. Chipotle,
Well, I
let's hear your
did.
prediction.
I feel like I did relate it to Xbox because I'm
Okay, Game
saying that
Pass.
then the slam dunk would be if they put Game Pass on it.
That's fair. That's fair. No, and to be fair, I did a bunch of Xbox, but I also I had a couple of Nintendo and other ones on there too. Just because I am not like Dan. I'd rather just get crazy with predictions at E3 and hope for the best. It's kind of like when I do FFL draft, you can ask Chance. When I win, it's mostly pure luck and my other teammate. No, so my first prediction is actually Battlefield 6 trailer coming in hard and hot, especially after the leak that we had last week. I imagine that they're just going to really lean into it and really trying honestly to combat against Call of Duty, right? They've just kind of been left in the dust for the last, honestly, year and a half, maybe more. And so I really think that they're going to dig their heels in and try to just blow us out of the water. I definitely will be super pumped about Battlefield 6, especially if it's back in a modern setting for sure.
And we should keep it. I think it's June 9th. There is the official reveal, but I'm interested to see if it appears on Microsoft as well with maybe that Game Pass announcement. Who knows? So I'll go next, and then I want to go to Chipotle. We'll do snake style. Isn't that a snake draft? N7 endorsement. My next prediction: Forza Horizon Mexico is announced and coming this fall. Xbox Game Pass exclusive. That's number 2. Jose, tell me what you're thinking.
Going to say Forza Horizon 5 though. I thought you were going to jump right next to the next number. But are you saying that is 5? Is that what you're saying? Okay. So he is saying that. He's shaking his head, folks.
They get rid of the numbers and they're just gonna have, like Assassin's Creed Unity. So, just get rid of that. No more numbers.
Yeah.
Let's just have the locations from now on. Yeah.
Got it. Okay, so then that's a good one, and I think a great choice, obviously, to show off next gen specs, right, on a true built for the system game, and obviously Forza is amazing, so that'll be super great. So then my next prediction I'm going to throw out there is a new updated Halo Infinite trailer. Like they're gonna, because they sent out that one a year ago, right, and it was really not lackluster. It was a great trailer, but it just, considering the specs of the next gen systems, everyone was just kind of like, oh, I thought there would be more. And so I totally could see them saying, no, like this is our chance to, now that kind of COVID's on the tail end, like we're really going to get people pumped for obviously the holiday season. Go ahead, Dwelly.
They have to kill it with Halo. Halo has to look much better. I thought it looked good last year. I was not one of the people complaining about it. It looked like and felt like Halo, so I was not the one freaking out about it. Did it look like the super next gen game? No, but as we'll get into a topic later, as you saw on our our topics this week, are we really going to have any crazy next gen games this year? But we'll get into that next year. But I think Halo is going to be awesome. That's going to be a big part of it. I like your prediction. Endorsement. Let's hear what you have to say for your next prediction.
Final Fantasy VII Remake on Xbox. And it'll be like a 7.5 because you know how they do, and it'll have some weird title and they'll say like coming August, and it'll be probably October of 2077, I think. So we'll get the announcement. We will not get the game, if ever. But
Don't you think that's weird? Because aren't they releasing not the second chapter, but kind of that DLC with Yuffie for the PlayStation and like and right the actual next gen upgrade for the PS5? You don't think that's going to be weird to overshadow that, or at least compete with it by saying it's on Xbox too?
That's the time to do it, right? When they're saying, "Hey, look, we have all this new tech that we can run it so well with." I don't know. I wanted to. I would like to get some achievements from Final Fantasy VII. That remake was. I mean, we'll have to go back some other time and talk about that. But I'm hoping it'll come.
Yeah, and I agree. It should have been here. I think it was a year. I like your prediction. It was a year exclusivity deal as far as I knew, as everyone knew. So I'm wondering, like you said, where is this game? Why is it not out on Xbox? I think it's a great prediction. I like it being at A3. Maybe it's like, and it's gonna be out soon, and hopefully. But I really like that. And I was gonna ask you if you're gonna actually play it on Xbox. Would you play it again?
Play it again. Yeah. It again, there were some really weird decisions I think that they made with it. But overall, it's the same universe, same characters with beautiful graphics. So, and the gameplay was good. It wasn't great, but it was good.
I'm not the Final Fantasy VII biggest fan like you guys are, but I did enjoy it. So I wanted to play it, and I was like, I'll just play it on Xbox whenever that comes out, and I'm still waiting. So who knows? Um, do you want to go again, Shady, or would it be back to Chapeau on this prediction? A snake would probably be
Yeah, I was gonna say a snake would be back to
you would be,
me.
yeah, back to back. So I'll go and then I'll throw it back to you. My next prediction, guys. I don't know where to go with this one. Okay, here we go. I don't know if I like this anymore. Let's do. Okay, I'll do this one, even though it's kind of lame. But Gears 6 is confirmed, maybe a little teaser, to be the next game by the Coalition. But the next game will be a brand new IP. They will share some sort of news saying, hey, Gears 5 has been great. Here's some more DLC for that. We do want you to know we will be concluding in Gears 6, but we also have another team working on a brand new IP. I think the Coalition is one of the best Microsoft-owned studios, super underrated. You've heard me talk about it before in the show, and I would like to see them move on to something else. I don't think that 343 should only be working on Halo or Coalition should only be working on Gears. Maybe back in the day, yes, but I'm also perfectly fine with getting one Gears game and something new from them during a console generation versus, oh, we need to get multiple Gears games out from the same studio during the generation or multiple Halos. I think times have changed. People clearly don't want that. Not only I know Gears and Halo are big parts of Xbox, but so are everyone complains about new IP. So let them do one per generation or whatever they want to do, but let them work on something else. Let them create and do something else. Jose, what would you like to add to that?
In full agreement. I think I like that I like the way you put it, that having a Gears game and another IP per generation, I think is a good balance. The question I have for you, are you saying though that we're going to see a teaser for 6 and something else, or just literally the verbal affirmation of like, we're working on something, we don't have anything to show you yet? I just want to clarify.
Yeah, it would just be something quick and short, and I don't know if it's even a teaser for 6, but I just would like some news. Like, yeah, we're maybe it's this coalition is working on 2 projects. Like, it could even be that, and we don't know what they are. So I'm now hoping maybe it's a new IP. I want them to work on something else. That's basically all I want. So, N7 endorsement. What's your next prediction if you have one?
This is kind of a blend of two, but I think they're going to announce a Game Pass exclusive, and not an Xbox exclusive, but a game that you will only be able to play this game through Game Pass. And I'm going to go bold and say that's going to be Horizon Mexico. That this is the only way you can play it is if you have Game Pass, and watch the dollar signs just start floating in. Right?
Interesting. I
That's a good
like
one.
that
That's a good one.
idea. I like that idea. Um, I have nothing to add. I think that's a good little prediction there, Shady. Jose, give us your next prediction.
Okay, so I'm going to start getting into the crazy ones now, just because I just want to. So I think that we're going to see a major announcement about another studio acquisition by Microsoft. That they're going to use this time to flex and say we have now partnered with or purchased or whatever verbiage they use to say we have another studio like Bethesda that's now coming to Microsoft only, because as we're going to talk about later on with RockQuarry's question, they're trying to really bolster their stuff. So I really think that they're gonna do that. I don't know what studio, but that's endorsement.
What studio? Or if you had a pick, what would you pick?
Oh, I mean, like dream for me would be like Capcom. I would love to see all of Resident Evil come through with Games Pass. That'd be my dream there. But if outside that, maybe Insomniac. I would love to say like a Rockstar or something, but I think that's too big right now. I think that's going to take too much time. But
Sony.
okay, never mind then. I mean, or maybe that's the ultimate flex. They're like, hey, we got them to come over to our side. I don't know. How about you? What do you?
One studio. EA is easy enough, right? They're kind of already there.
Though I
Yeah,
like. I
but
mean,
then
I
they
could
wouldn't be
dream.
able to. They wouldn't be able to pull in 1.6 billion
Microtransactions.
microtransactions from Ultimate Team that way. But
Okay. I actually have an idea on this, Jose. I like it, and I think it maybe if they don't buy another studio, maybe they have some sort of exclusive game, and maybe that ties into the Hideo Kojima nonsense that we've heard rumors about, which would be crazy. Um, so I like where your head's at. So
But Kojima's heavy into Sony though, dude. Metal Gear, and
no,
then I mean, I
no,
just feel like that's a big one too.
but what was that horrible game you played, Chance? I didn't even remember
Where
it.
you were Daryl, the delivery guy.
Were you?
I'm blanking on the name.
Death Stranding. Death Stranding. That's what it
Death
was.
Stranding.
Death
That's right. See,
Stranding.
exactly.
Death
There you go.
Stranding, but I will
That-
say I really enjoyed Death Stranding. Really, really enjoyed it. So don't call it a terrible game, even though I
Okay.
couldn't remember the name.
It is different. Yeah, you couldn't remember the name. It is different, and I've also heard from Chris on Sacred Symbols saying that he loved that game too, just because it's so different and like the whole. It's a new kind of gameplay going across, figuring out the terrain. But anyway, I haven't played it. That was just a third party or second party deal, Jose. So it is also on PC, and they're not owned by Sony. So he is independent. That was just a deal with Sony. So maybe we'll see something from Hideo. I wanted to go into my next. I actually have 6. So I'm gonna go into one more, and I'll fill in for Shady for his predictions. I wanted to say this one's third party. So speaking of EA, EA announces Mass Effect 3 multiplayer is coming back, and my dream announcement, a Mass Effect the new game teaser of some sign, a little bit more of what we saw. That would be amazing. I don't think that's going to happen, but I do see maybe Mass Effect 3 multiplayer coming back. So, who would like to go next? Whoever take over.
Okay, so that's a good one. I don't know, man. I don't know if the multiplayer was ever that compelling compared to some of the bigger ones. Even though I love Mass Effect, I'm just saying that seems like a reach to me. But hey, who knows? I definitely love the idea of a teaser for the next installment. Would be sweet. For my next prediction, I'm gonna go ahead and this is my one that's not Xbox exclusive. I'm gonna go Mario Kart 9. I think that they realistically Mario Kart 8 was released for the Wii U, and when they ported it to Switch, it was basically just a tiny bit updated version of that. And how long ago was that? And so I think especially if they release the Pro, the odds of them announcing a Mario Kart 9 are just really, really high. It's time. And even though 8 still holds up really well, it's still a really fun game. Obviously, I think it's just time for us to get that next installment, Mario Kart 9. That's mine.
Last one that would be new, and I do have one, I think like bonus honorable mention, but my last one would be some new gameplay with a release date for Gotham Knights. And that's a game that I'll be probably day one purchase, I would think. It depends on when it comes out, obviously. But those games were just fantastic. All the Arkham Asylum and
Agree.
yeah. So that's my hope.
Yeah,
Okay,
no, I
that's only
like that.
that's only 4 though. You know that, right? Like Shady and I have only done 4 guesses at this point.
Yeah, was one of mine that it was. I
Oh,
mean,
got it.
that one was.
Gotcha.
You didn't
I'm a
bring
little
backup?
surprised.
No wonder. That's no wonder you can't win fantasy season. You got to have backups upon backups.
So I
Oh.
did just win.
He did.
Moving on. I'm surprised we don't have any Bethesda ones, so Bethesda's probably gonna blow us away because none of us have any Bethesda predictions except for the Starfield, which I think is obvious.
No, I have one. I had one on a
Oh,
list. I just wasn't going to pick it because it wasn't. I made a list of like 15 just in
okay.
case because I don't want to say the same things as you guys. I think the obvious one is that they might tease 6, right? Whatever's after Skyrim. Like I just think that Skyrim was in 2011. It was
Too
literally
soon.
10 years ago. And it's been ported to every possible system, including PC. I just think it's time for them not to release it, not even necessarily a trailer, but like maybe announcing where it is in the actual map or like just something next gen. I think that this is a perfect time for them to flex what a full
Yeah.
version of Skyrim could look like on a system like this. So that was my Bethesda one, but that's not my last one. I just had it on my list.
Okay. I just want to say really quick, you can say your last one. That is a good idea though to flex like, hey, we have Elder Scrolls and we don't want you to forget that. And here's the roadmap, and that's not a bad idea. So Jose, why don't you give me let me give you one of my random and wild ones. Okay, here. So this is where I get a little crazy here, guys. And I'm not sure if this is actually realistic, but let's get crazy. A new Star Wars or Marvel franchise game is announced, an exclusive to Xbox only. We've seen an exclusive Marvel game on Switch. We already know stupid Spider-Man is on PlayStation. When is Xbox going to get their exclusive Marvel game? And a Star Wars game, that would be a dream, but that would be pretty cool. I don't see that being as exclusive, but maybe there's a new Star Wars game announced of some sort. So
But
that's my kind of crazy one.
the question is, what Marvel IP would they push there? That's really, I think, the $1 million question because they just did Avengers to pretty much lackluster reviews, as I'm sure as endorsement kind of mentioned. You're right, Spider-Man on PlayStation. I mean, the only one I could maybe argue, and it would be cool, is an X-Men one, right? Like a true X-Men style where you get the powers and it's RPG based, not quite like Alliance, but something more of that vein. That could be cool. I like that idea. I just don't know about exclusive either, though, right? If Disney is really trying to make their money, it makes sense to me they're going to try to get it to every system they can. But that'd be cool. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my argument is just like every other system's had an exclusive. Like, why can't they play nice with Microsoft? But maybe they are with the Indiana Jones. I don't know if that's exclusive. I don't. Who knows? But maybe like a Logan game, maybe a Wolverine game, but a little bit more serious and gritty, you know? Or I like the X Men idea, but I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. I just feel like why hasn't Xbox gotten a Marvel game? So, um, Chance or Jose, before I give my one last one, well, I'll give you my last one. I also think that it's a possibility that we get one new, completely unheard of IP announced for Xbox. So I think that could be a possibility, but I also feel like they've announced a lot of games that we know they're working on. So who knows? And on that, I just want to add, I don't want to see any CGI trailers, especially for games we've seen. I'm done with the CGI. I need to see gameplay. And Xbox has been bad about the CGI. Give us gameplay trailers. And if it's not ready for a gameplay trailer, don't, and you've already shown a CGI one, don't show anything else about the game. Like you gotta either announce these games later or announce it first with the CGI and then wait, and whenever it's ready, give me gameplay. I want more gameplay trailers. Sick of the CGI. Jose or Chance, do you have any other predictions, or how do you feel about the CGI trailers versus gameplay trailers? N7 endorsement, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll start with the CGI trailers. That was one thing, and you all know I'm a big fan of the Assassin's Creed series, but the one thing that I hated about those back in the day when the commercials would come out, and actually they did it for Valhalla too, because they had that amazing commercial. Um, None of that was in the game, and I was always like, I don't get it. It'd be like a movie trailer where none of those scenes were in the movie to me. So yeah, I'm 100% agreement with you there, and come on, that's not what this is about. I want to see what I'm actually going to be playing. And then my last prediction would be I'm really, really hoping for Injustice 3. Anything that, even if it's just like, hey, we know it's coming. And again, I wouldn't take a CGI, I would just take like a Injustice 3, it's coming. That's all we're going to say. See you later.
I mean, I like that. That's a great one. All right, my last official one, and this is really my like pie in the sky. I just want this because I would love it. Is especially because the people who made Dead Space are now working on the Callisto project, which if you didn't see the trailer a couple of months ago, was actually pretty dope. I'm really excited for that game. But my hope is that they would do a Dead Space HD upgrade for Game Pass because it's been on Game Pass before. It's not out of the realm. It's an EA game, right? Like that would be just a dream thing for me because I love that series. So I would love to see Isaac back in the fold in HD before they release the Callisto project. And then a couple other just quick honorable mentions. Maybe Spiral 4 on Xbox and PS5 because they did the Reignited trilogy. That's a great game for like kids and families, and an easy one to port to Games Pass potentially. Maybe even also a Wolfenstein 3. That was a one I kind of had on the fringe. And then the other one that I don't know why I thought about it, but was Sea of Thieves. We actually talked about it a couple episodes ago, but in the wake of that other see them really saying like, hey, don't forget about Sea of Thieves. We have a bunch of new content. It's been this great community. I could see them coming up and bringing that up as well. That was my last honorable mention.
No, I'm wondering if they're going to show what every Bethesda studio might be working on. I don't know if that's too much. Again, it's kind of hard because you want to, like you said, flex and show off what Bethesda is. We don't, we're Bethesda is Xbox. Like these are our games, you know, but like how much do you want to show? And then we get into the Sony where we wait for a game for 5 years until it comes out. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, one of these games going to come out. I really like the show it when it's ready and then release it like 6 months out. Like I don't know. I don't know why Sony continues to get all this crazy hype for games that they show and then you don't play them until 4 years later. I don't get it. But yeah, I'm excited. By the way, I wanted to see. I think we should do a live reaction, like just a reaction video of E3 as it's happening. I don't know if you guys can do it because I think it's at what you said 11. Is it 11 on Sunday? Um, but I think it would be cool to show like our live reactions, but then we'll talk about it as a separate podcast. Like this would just be a video to upload of just our reactions. So think about that. I'd love to do that. Does anyone else have any more thoughts on, uh, or any more predictions? Do we have any PlayStation predictions? Okay, Shady, let's hear what you have to say.
It's not a PlayStation prediction, but as I'm hearing us all talk, one thing that I'm thinking I would love, I'm gonna piggyback off Chapeau's Mario Kart, and I would love to see with Game Pass like a Mario Party type game, which would be Fusion Frenzy, a Fusion Frenzy X, that could be the Game Pass exclusive, right? Because you need to have the internet going to play with all your friends. It could be a couch co-op or it could be a other side of the world co-op, but a Fusion Frenzy Game Pass exclusive, I think. It's likely never going to happen, but if it does, somebody owes me something.
I don't know why they haven't done a remaster for that. Like, it's clearly a cult hit, and it's more than that. I think everybody who had an original Xbox played that game and loved it. So why have they not remastered it and just add online multiplayer? Or even just do that, you know? But another one, Jose, what did you mention that you wish it was remastered? I can't remember, but
Dead Space is
Dead
my
Space,
dream
yeah.
game.
So a remaster of that, I feel like that's completely doable. You don't have to remake it, just remaster that, upgrade the graphics. Like that would look phenomenal. And Dead Space 1, what a great game. 2, 3, even worse. But I just recently played those like last year during the pandemic. So one last thing I want to add, I think Breath of the Wild 2 will be announced and probably come out this fall or something like that. And then for PlayStation, I'm trying to think like I don't even know like I have no idea what they're gonna do. So that
There's rumors of a new system, right? Like a new
oh yeah.
like a smaller, like the Series S equivalent of the PS5.
Mhm.
I think, right, is I think one thing that's been hinted
We'll
at.
see.
Game wise, I don't know. Ratchet and Clank, right? They'll probably do a lot with Ratchet and Clank, I think.
I think it'll be out. That'll be out before they do anything at E3. But yeah, go ahead. That comes out in the 11th, I think. Go ahead, Chance.
Oh, I already know. I talked to Sony and they said the new system is going to be the aesthetically pleasing PS5.
Excellent point there. And let's close out the E3 predictions on that. Let's get the aesthetically pleasing PlayStation. That's very true. Um, let's move on. Anyone else? Any E3 thoughts? Were we good? We're good. Okay. So moving on. Let's get in to reader mail, and I just want to give a shout out to RockQuarry over at Big Time Babel. Shout out to Corey BTB. These are some great submissions. Although Corey, I'm gonna need you to use better punctuation and grammar for your future submissions. I don't want to have to clean these up very much. Just a little shout out to Corey there. So his first point is, and I tried to do a little bit of research on this, and there was like a brief article on this. He just said, "What are your thoughts on the supposedly, and I'm sure it probably is true, the PS5 outselling Xbox 2 to 1?" And I just wanted to want this one off and say that I don't think Microsoft gives a crap. They're about Game Pass subscriptions now. They're about getting as many people on that as possible. They're not concerned about their console outselling others. Every time I look to try an Xbox Series X for my friend Baxter out in Philadelphia, I can never get one. They're still selling out like crazy. Series S, I'm seeing a little bit easier, but those are still selling out. The demand is still high for those, right? Chipotle Bear, like they're still selling out. So as far as they're concerned, yeah, they may be being outsold, but I don't think they really care if their products sold out everywhere whenever it's available. So my thoughts are, Corey, that Xbox is in a different battle. They care about the subscription service. The number of consoles they sell is not like the biggest thing that they're focusing on. They're focusing on Game Pass subscriptions and getting those sales versus the hardware. And the hardware is great, yeah, it gives access to games, but they lose money on consoles, so they'd probably rather you buy a Game Pass subscription than losing money on the console. So, Chapo Bear, give me your thoughts on the PS5 outselling Xbox 2 to 1.
You know, I agree with you. I think Microsoft honestly doesn't care that much. But to answer RockQuarry's question, right? The question is why? Why is it outselling 2 to 1? I think there's really two glaring reasons. The first is last generation, right? So as much as I love the Xbox One, I fully am willing to admit that they fumbled a lot of weird things with it. Some of it was the Connect, the price, the game lineup. It was plagued with issues from time to time, right? And
I
so I
agree.
think that generation moved a lot of people toward the needle towards PlayStation. They were a lot more readily available. They didn't have as many issues. They were cheaper, right? So you just have this massive outpouring of people on that system. And so when those people have now become quote unquote PlayStation people, the next generation comes out, they're all clamoring for it. So that's an obvious low hanging fruit to answer there. The other thing, real quick, and then I'll pass it back to you, Diwali, is truly, even still today, Xbox is very much a Western um, game system. It is not as widely prevalent in Europe or in Asia. It's still there. It's not like it's unavailable there, but it's mostly the United States. Like we are by far the largest region for it. And so when you have those other markets clamoring for PlayStation, whether it's because of the IP that they have there or because of the history or whatever, you're just going to see those differences. But again, ultimately, at the end of the day, I still think, and I agree with you, Wally, that as long as Microsoft is making money and they're putting out great IP, I don't care if more PlayStations are selling, because I play Xbox, so it doesn't really matter to me. That's just my thought. D Wally, what do you got?
Points, and I just wanted to add, I also think they're right. Sony's riding this huge wave of the success of the PS4. Like the PS4 is an astronomical success. Like there's no doubt about it. It's what, probably like the second best selling console ever, or something like that, or third, or whatever. So it's incredible.
Behind the Dreamcast, actually.
And so threw me off with that. Now I'm just thinking about the Dreamcast. What I wanted to add though is that I also think their success also was at a great time for Sony, because it was right in that transition to more digital games. So now people's got that ecosystem. They're already in the Sony ecosystem with their Sony games. I don't want to switch to Xbox and lose all my games or trophies or whatever. So that really was beneficial for Sony to have so much success during PS4. Like, of course, I'm going to upgrade to PS5. So, but I would argue that most like civil and like true, I don't want to say true, but like most gamers like us, like we're going to have all the systems at some point, you know? So, Chance, give me your thoughts on the 2 to 1.
It doesn't bother me a whole lot. I don't think it's not like a sports team, right? Where it's, hey, I'm a huge Chiefs fan, and right now my team's a lot better than the Broncos. Like, that's totally different than, hey, the PS5 is outselling the Xbox Series X. Like, okay, I don't care. Name me anything PlayStation's done that's even half as cool as Game Pass.
Phenomenal point. All right, Shady's going to close on that thought. You heard it here first, Corey. Next question. Boom, drop the mic. Another one from RockQuarry. Shout out BTB. Are there Yeah, that should be R. Are there any true next gen games coming out this year? And he's asking in relation to the recent announcements that God of War is delayed. Well, that was never coming out this year, let's be honest. And Horizon and Gran Turismo, whatever number it is, are going to be cross gen. It's also going to be on PS4. When are we going to see the first? Well, actually, besides actually Ratchet and Clank, there's one for you, Corey. That is console exclusive. We'll say besides that, because we've kind of known that. Are we going to see any other next or current gen Xbox Series X and PS5 games coming out this year? Do you guys think? What do you think?
Talking exclusive next gen, no, we're still in that transition period, and the systems, both PS5 and Xbox, would be stupid to do that right now. It is an unfortunate situation for us, because we're on the front side of it, right? We have the Xbox Series X's already, that we want that content, but because, like you just said, Diwali, like so many people still cannot get a system in their hands, it would just be a huge it would be a dumb move, basically, to not have the cross-gen stuff. In terms of games itself, Medium came out for Xbox, right? That was on Games Pass. That was technically in game already. That came out in like January. I didn't get to play it yet, but I heard okay things. I would also argue the easy other one, and I'll pass it over to endorsement, is Halo. I would argue that they're gonna have Halo by holiday. That's gonna be their big hit for the holiday season, is to get that Halo game out, and it will be maybe cross gen, but it also could be fully exclusive. There could be elements of that are fully exclusive to the new gen. So endorsement, Diwali, what do you think?
About the Halo, that's confirmed for Xbox One. Like as far as we know, like I don't think they're going to change that. So that will be another cross-gen game. But I also think it's going to look phenomenal Series X, and I also think it's coming on PC for the first time, which is a huge deal, day and date. So that'll be awesome. So endorsement, let's hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, and I'm probably as impatient as they come, but I also would rather wait for the best product possible than have something rushed. And I say that as someone again who was a fan of Cyberpunk, and my system and TV handled it just fine. But I would have been furious if I was one of all the millions of people who spent money on it and it didn't work, right? Like that was a disaster, and you can't tell me those people that bought it and ended up trading it back and getting their money back wouldn't have rather purchased it a year from now.
Agree. And I also wanted to add, Corey, as much as cool as it is to have these new systems and get these new games, I'm enjoying playing old games at 60 frames per second and being upscaled, and with the loading times being eliminated, like that completely changes games. Like even I'm even thinking about going back and playing Skyrim just because the loading is going to be incredible. And so, as much as yes, I do want new games, I'm also extremely grateful for how quality of life improvements that the Series X and I'm sure the PS5 has brought to gaming. Do you guys have any thoughts on that statement?
I just agree.
Yeah, and it's totally true, right? And there have been so many of the last gen games that I went back, and even 360 games, that they just look so much better, right? And smooth, and I'm more than happy with that for right now.
About backlog, like I'm finally like somewhat catching up, besides my PlayStation backlog, which I'm probably never going to get. Um, and speaking of PlayStation, guys, I got a PS5 digital, and I don't even know why I got randomly selected through PlayStation, like because of my gamer tag or whatever over there. And so they're like, "Hey, well, you're a part of this." Like, so I've got a digital edition still in a box over there. I don't know what I'm gonna
Maybe
do
they
with that.
heard the
Probably.
podcast. They're like, we got to get this guy a unit, ship him those units.
So it's sitting in my room over there. I'm probably gonna sell it on Craigslist or Facebook because I want to buy a mountain bike so I can ride with my son because he's finally getting into a bike. So yeah, guys, I got a PS5 digital. Haven't even opened it. Chance.
Also in the market for a mountain bike to ride with Cora. Maybe we should be XRT slash hitting the trails.
Yeah, I know. I got to get a bike. Let's be real. And I have my PS4 Pro upstairs, so I don't even need it. So I'm gonna sell it. But yeah, so Sony. Sorry, I'm probably gonna sell it and make some money. Let's move on to the last question from Corey. Corey's last question is, how can a guy get on the E3 post-show stream? Big Time Babel has always talked about it, but would love to be a part of yours. So I just wanted to bring it up to you guys. Do you think we should allow Corey to join XRT and be a part of the post E3 reaction show? Chapo Bear, go ahead. What do you think?
I think absolutely. I being in this sphere and obviously loving the support of all of our fans. RockQuarry's been a great supporter of our podcast. I'd love to have him on as a short-term guest or even a reoccurring guest. You know what I'm saying? Or even some of the other boys from Big Time Blog. But that's or Big Time Babble. Sorry, my apologies, Corey. That's my thoughts.
So I don't care what you think because you're just barely here anyway. So let's move on. Okay,
No,
Chance,
I even
what do you
raised my
think?
hand.
Go ahead.
I'd love to have Corey on. I think
He might take
as
your
the
job, by the
only,
way.
well, that's fine. But because he's the only single and childless man, I think we have to live vicariously through him. And he's only allowed if he's at least 4 or 5 beers deep.
I don't think he's single.
Yeah,
He's
Oh,
childless.
I
I
mean
don't think
not.
he's
I
single.
mean not
not
married.
married. Yeah, got
Not
it.
Oh,
not
yeah,
married.
okay. Not
Okay.
official.
All right, Corey, since you're the only one of our 5 listeners, I think I've been outvoted 2-1. I think we will allow you next week. And I'm just kidding. I think we absolutely can have you on. And hold on, Shady. And but you have to keep it professional. You better come prepared. And you better listen to everything I say. And you can only speak when I let you speak. Okay. So yes. And Seven, what did you
Rules
want
that we have to live by, just so you know.
to say? Go ahead.
No, it was just 2-1. So your answer was no.
Yes. No, no, Corey, I do want him on. He has some good questions, and I appreciate actually, Corey was the first official Xbox Record This Gmail submission for questions. So, Shady, you sent in your application for the show, but he was the first one to actually use it for questions. So I do appreciate that. So yes, I think Corey, we will have you on the show after the E3 announcements. So we'll figure that out. And then, so anyone else, see, this is how you get on the show. Just we want to promote everybody. We're a growing show, so get those submissions in. And speaking of submissions, my good friend Corty Morgs writes in again, guys. He's always bringing these great ideas to the show. He doesn't use the official email. He just sends me a short text, so that's also okay. Corty Morgs writes in and says, "Hey XRT boys, would you guys give me your opinions on some of the dark days of the Xbox 360? For example, did any of you have any experience with the red ring of death? This was one reason I went out and got a PS3. Thanks, guys. Tell my bro N7 endorsement that I am carrying him over here with ideas for the show. Thank you, Cordy Morgs. Um, I'm going to go ahead and go straight to N7 endorsement right there. Chance, did you have any experience with the Red Ring of Death? And also, do you have anything to say to Corty Morgs calling you out on your contributions?
Yeah, I'm a little confused, and I even more so that we just lost Chapeau. Is that true? I don't see
Yeah,
him
don't worry
anymore.
about it. He'll probably come back in. Just let's
Um,
continue with the show,
he's
guys. Technical
carrying
difficulties.
me. I guess I don't understand because now he's sent in two questions and I only sent in one and an application. I'd say that's more.
I just got him saved on a document, Chance. I don't want to
Oh,
interrupt you, but see, he's got quite a few.
okay. Yeah, no, and then in terms of the dark days of the 360, I just what? I think I mentioned last time on the show that you go to your all-time top 10 list, and how many of those games? I'm not going to say they're all 360, obviously, but I guarantee you the 360 is the most prominently featured console between at least the three of us, I would think. And yeah, I think I got the Red Ring of Death once, and just like my iPad had a little bit of an issue a couple of weeks ago, but the Apple sent me a brand new one, so it was a couple of weeks without it, and same with Microsoft. The Project Scorpio I had a little bit of an issue, and um, they boxed it up, sent me a nice box, sent it right back. They got me a new one. Like again, I'm pretty impatient, but I also understand that nothing is perfect, and so I hate to do this to you, Cordy, and maybe that's what the issue is. You were upset with our take on microtransactions, but I gotta disagree.
Chipotle, did you have any red rings of death?
I did not myself, but I actually am in the same line of Cordy that I actually started with the PS3 of that generation. That was my first purchase. And it was had nothing to do with the Red Ring of Death. We didn't even know about it at the time. It was just that's what I chose because of what the game selection was and where I was at in my life and stuff. And but I had a lot of friends who did end up getting the Red Ring of Death. But to their credit, I mean, other than it just being a big, huge news thing, right? Everybody's like, "Oh my God, your console's gonna die" and all this stuff. They were pretty good about repairing them pretty quickly, so it wasn't a huge deal. And then eventually, when I did pick up a 360, which was really for Badco too, like that's really when that came in for it. I never had that issue. The honestly, my biggest complaint about the quote unquote dark days about the 360 was the triple or double A batteries for the controller because that technology was really pretty new in controllers and like the PlayStation ones didn't have that yet because you couldn't fit it in there. And so that was just a huge bummer because they didn't have the rechargeable batteries, they didn't have the bases yet. Like that was a giant pain for the time being. Indoorsman,
Too late now, but that's what she said.
Speaking of the batteries, though, I remember the PS3 controllers died really quick. So although it had that internal battery, I remember it was caca when it came to battery life. And I like I just have like rechargeable batteries, swap them out. I know people love to hate on Microsoft for still having the double A's. I like to be able to swap out. I don't get to see I don't get all the hate on that. And
No,
then
but the key is what you told me. You got to have rechargeable batteries,
yeah,
right? You have to have like two in the pipe ready to go, like that. I don't mind that there's double A batteries. I hated how quickly they died, and especially I think that was like when I was like just out of college and stuff. I didn't have the foresight to think about that and it says like batteries low. Like there's no worse feeling than that. So I'm glad we moved away from that.
those rechargeable cords at the time. So that's why I never really struggled with that. And I just had another thought about that thing. Oh, that's what I was going to say about um, the Red Ring of Death. You mentioned about how Microsoft was good about repairing it, right, Jose? I just wanted to say I remember listening to a story with Peter Moore, who's like the head of Xbox at the time, going to Chance. You'll know who's the Clippers owner, and he used to be the head at Microsoft, and I can't remember his name. He always does those weird, crazy chants. He's always going crazy on the sidelines. He owns the Clippers now. Can't remember his name, but he was head of Microsoft after Bill Gates kind of stepped aside. Do you remember Jose? Or maybe you can look at it's Ballmer, Steve Ballmer. I remember him going to Ballmer and being like, I think it was Ballmer, and being like, "Hey, we've got a big problem with these consoles. They are dying, and what do we do?" And they're like, "Just we'll eat the cost, repair the consoles," because they knew it was going to be so damaging if they didn't do that. And I'll never forget like that story of like, I think that was actually on Unlocked one time when they were interviewing. Yeah, I think it was Peter Moore, Phil Spencer, and I think Seamus Blackley. I think I can't remember his last name. And He was the one who created the original Xbox. A great interview, by the way. If you guys haven't seen that, it's on Unlocked. It's like one of them. It was from E3's a few years ago. That's a must watch if you're an Xbox fan because it was incredible. So I learned so much from that. So uh, for Red Ring of Death for me, Cordy, I did get it. I only got it once, and I think like everyone else has said, I got my console replaced fairly easy. But I think I was always good about, or not good. I guess I couldn't wait, and I always had to get the newest version of the 360. So whenever like the Slim came out or the Black came out, I was always one of the first to get it. So I never really dealt with it. And as far as other consoles, I remember my OG Xbox One never had a single issue with that. Miggy had who knows how many thousands of hours on his OG Xbox One and never had an issue with it, which is insane because shout out to Zapatista Miggy. He played so much on that console. My One X was always a beast. I did have a problem with my Scorpio as well, Shady, but it was with I think the controller just kept disconnecting from it. And it wasn't like an interference issue. And then I just returned and they gave me a new one right away. So that's the only time like recently, like Xbox One generation, and so I haven't had many problems with that. So, Cordy, lucky for us, we did not have many Red Ring of Death issues. I was a 360 guy first, and they got a PS3 later. So, yeah, I guess that didn't really affect us as much as maybe it did for you. So, thank you for your submission. Don't worry, I still remember. I have lots of your other questions stored away, and we will get to them. I promise. I just want to kind of do one at a time. So thank you, Corty Morgs, for writing in. Moving on, guys, we're kind of closing up. I wanted to ask you again, does anyone have any other thoughts or concerns on how we should do the podcast and what they want to add? Any kind of, Jose, I think you wanted to share something you wanted to add to the podcast, and Chance, I think you texted something. So, Chance, what was the one you wanted to add possibly to the podcast? Do you remember?
The one that I recently texted, just some sort of. Well, let's start with Jose.
Okay. Jose, bring up yeah,
I mean,
bring up your
I'm a
like
huge
yours.
fan of the best thing I ate this week. I think that should be a recurring thing. I just think,
It
we're all
is.
huge fans of food, whether it's fast food or not, or even just stuff we're cooking for our families. So I really like that suggestion from Endorsement last week. And then the new one that I was suggesting adding was just kind of what we're into. Obviously, besides being gamers and workers and and dads and stuff, we all have like interesting and quirky interests. And so maybe it's something that we bought, maybe it's something we just got from Costco, maybe it's something we saw on Netflix, just kind of sharing what we're into for the week as kind of just a way to share some insights about our lifestyle and what we're into, that kind of stuff. So that was just a suggestion for me. Endorsement.
So the idea I just texted about was in order to do a fan giveaway, like if we did a monthly one, having fans send in their screenshots, their Xbox record this, and bonus points if you did it with your Connect, right? Um, but and then we can compile them weekly and then pick out like the best two from the week, and then from the month pick out like the best three, and you know then we send. I have the first. Hold on. Um, the first fan giveaway
All right, let's see it.
the Halo Mega Constructs.
Wait, you're giving that away? Where did you get that budget for that?
With the Warthog, I
It
love
was
it.
only, dude, it was only $15.
$15 giveaway, guys. Let's get those submissions in.
They are not Lego. So
That's a good point. Well, you know what, Chance? I like the idea. I'm just concerned how many actual submissions we're gonna get. Let's be real. But I think that's cool. I like the Xbox record this nice little. Uh, is that a pun? I don't know. A reference for
yeah.
the submissions. I like that. And I mean, you're right. If somebody, I guess there are still Xbox Ones out there that could potentially have Connect. So you're right. It could be we could get a Xbox record that voice command. You can also do it through Alexa too. So go ahead, Chance.
Every time I record something, I still say it out loud. Even though you have it on the button there and with the new controller and everything, or you can push the old button, I still say it because it makes me feel good inside.
Why don't we have some more voice commands like through your headset? I don't understand. That was the coolest part about some of that were just those simple commands. I think they should bring that back. Maybe that's another sort of feedback or prediction, maybe we can get voice commands.
Prediction,
Yeah,
voice
exactly.
commands back.
But Jose, I like your idea too. So yeah, why don't we end the show with best things we ate this week, or something we're into and we just want to share that's not gaming related. I like the idea. And if there's anybody who would like to submit their best captures, please do. I actually have been slacking when it comes to recording stuff. I just record cheesy stuff like Shepard walking up out of the ashes in Mass Effect 1 and stupid stuff like that. Like, my Shepherd too. So everyone's like, "Who the heck is this guy?" So I mean, yeah, I think you're right. I need to get better. Oh, you know what makes me mad though? Sometimes I have a complaint. Xbox and Phil, I know you're listening. Phil Spencer, fan of the show. He the recording clip recording doesn't always work. And do you guys ever see it where it's like a black clip or it's just darkness and you record like what's up with that? Have you guys seen that where whenever I record stuff on Call of Duty, it'll just be like a black screen, but I can hear everything that's going on. So I think they need to retool the game DVR. That's another topic. So let's move on to best food we had this week. I will go first. Actually, I have something. I was going to say it was the delicious burgers I made today at the birthday party, Jose, which I want to say the two I had were phenomenal. So they were delicious, but I'm not going to take credit for my own thing, um, even though I kind of did right there. My best item, you guys, if you ever go to the newly named Ball Arena, it's no longer the Pepsi Center, RIP Pepsi Center, Ball Arena, and you go to an Avs or Nuggets game, you need to get the chicken tenders wherever they have them. Phenomenal. They cooked to perfection. The fries were fantastic, and they give you the perfect sides. They give you ketchup, ranch, and barbecue sauce, and they were all fantastic. So, and you probably haven't been to the Pepsi Center for a while. Everything's like cashless. So of course I brought like $100. I'm like, yeah, I finally have cash. I'm gonna be able to use my cash for once in my life because I never carry cash. I randomly had some for some reason. No cash accepted because it's all contactless because of COVID and all that. So I highly recommend. Shout out to Ball Arena and the chicken tenders. Can't recommend enough. I also tried Bud Light seltzer lemonade. I liked it. I'm usually not a fan of those seltzers. I liked it. It tasted like lemonade, so I recommend that. And endorsement, why don't you give me your best food you had this week?
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get a lot of complaints on this one. Reese's Ultimate Peanut Butter Lovers. So the what used to be the chocolate is peanut butter, and it's not just more of the same. It's the so if you take the Reese's Pieces, the peanut butter in a Reese's Pieces is different than a peanut butter in a Reese's. And if you didn't know that, I'm not going to say you should stop listening because I'd like people to listen, but we would need to talk later and maybe fight. So it's you have the Reese's Pieces peanut butter surrounding the Reese's, and it's just fantastic.
Chance, I would like to say I also had this, and it's amazing, incredible. I had to go back and buy some more because I loved it so much. And I also had to admit, I did not know it was different, and I was wondering why it tasted so good. And I love Reese's, so apparently I am a Reese's noob. I had no idea, but that makes sense because I'm like maybe they just like stiffened it up a little bit. That's what she said. And so no, apparently I'm wrong. It's Reese's Pieces peanut butter surrounding the peanut butter of Reese's. And now I'm gonna after we get off of this podcast, I'm gonna drive to the gas station and buy some more because they're phenomenal. Go ahead, Shady.
Yeah, because so Ashley and I were driving home, eating it. We were both eating it, and we were just looking at each other like, "There's something. There's something, and this is absolutely fantastic. This is a hole in one. What is it?" And then it like I had accidentally like a little noob bite or something of just the outside, and I was like, "That's it. Oh my God, that's a Reese's Pieces right there."
What did you? By the way, if you haven't had those Chipotle, you need to go buy them immediately. I love. I'm thinking about it right now.
I have not, but I'll be stopping by there on the way home from work on Monday or maybe tomorrow. So, and I know endorsement will really feel this with me. We got to go to the melting pot on Wednesday with Victoria's friend Claire that was in town. For those of you that are not from Colorado or have never heard of the melting pot, it is a fondue restaurant that's really well known in Colorado in Littleton. And basically, it's like a 4-course meal, the cheese to start, and then salad, main dish, and then dessert. But it's all mostly done in this fondue pot, and it's expensive for sure. It's definitely a treat, but it is absolutely amazing. And what's always incredibly deceptive is like they bring out these little plates with these little cut up things, and you're like, oh, this isn't going to be enough to fill me up. And every time you leave, you're just like Thanksgiving dinner kind of full. But it was absolutely awesome, and then definitely the best thing I ate this week: melting pot fondue. Diwali, and then endorsement.
Yeah, I'm gonna go first here. I gotta jump in. I think I also went to melting pot with you at one point, Jose, but I just want to say this. I've always thought it was overrated. That's all I have to say.
It's overpriced. I don't think it's overrated. It's the reality is could we at home cook up cheese fondue and bouillon and dessert? Yeah, we could, but it's also the experience, and it's a unique thing. It's not everywhere. So I do enjoy the melting pot. We only go there a handful of times a year, maybe, usually when they're having some kind of sale, like a 5280 week or whatever. But definitely enjoyed it. Endorsement thoughts?
I'm just shaking my head. Uh, okay, I can, okay. I love the ambiance. I love the setting. I love that you're alone no matter where you are. I don't like having to deal with the plebs out there, especially in the Rona times. It's even before that, I was not necessarily a germaphobe, but I'm a people phobe, and so just didn't want to have to deal with humans. Jose, I need to know what kind of cheese did you go with?
Only choice there is, and that is the Fiesta. That is the best choice, hands down. And the pro strat for the next time you go to the melting pot, you ask for a table with two burners. Because Chance and I did that last time, and we did that this time too. And the best part is, because you go with like another couple, you get two cheeses, you get two main dish things, and you get two desserts, dude, and the same price. But you get to like sample, dude. That is the pro strat. Ask for the double burner table, and there's only a handful, so you have to do that when you reserve it. Indoorsman.
And I that was I so gosh, how many times, Chapo, you think you and Ashley and Victoria have been there? Like probably in the dozens. Okay, maybe seven. I mean, saying between all of us, right? In the dozens, and the fact that we didn't know that, and we were all looking at each other, and like we get two cheeses. Oh, it's over.
I still think that place is overrated, but I will say I do like you said, Chance. I do appreciate that you're like secluded. It is a cool, unique the ambiance. You're right. It is a cool setting for sure. You're blowing my mind here with the two burner things because now, so you're saying I should get two different cheeses is the key here. It's good. I don't know. You guys rave about it, and every time I go, I'm like, yeah, that was
So
good,
here's what we're gonna
but
do on the 1 year anniversary of XRT. We are gonna after before we go record that night, we're gonna go three couples, all six of us. We're gonna get that double burner table,
all right.
and you'll get to say, and you'll see. That's what we're gonna do. Calling it
Let's
right
do
now.
it. Let's do it. I like that idea. But I mean, I'm also a guy who loves Yard House, and you guys probably think that's like overrated. But every time I go, I'm like, oh my gosh, this food is incredible. And they have a great diversity. And the drinks, I want to go. We're going to go tomorrow, actually, now I'm thinking about it. So we'll have to talk about Yard House another time. And I've got deep ties to Yard House. So anyway, moving on.
I got that reference right.
Yes, I don't know if Chance did. By the way, every time we go, I see like people I've known from those days there, and I know they recognize me like this freaking ass. I'm gonna have to edit that out now. There's this jerk back here. Anyway, moving on, guys. Let's close like we always do with what are you guys gonna be playing this week? Any big plans? Anything like that? I will go. I'll go first. I don't think I have any big plans. No birthday parties. Jose, yours is in 2 weeks, so I don't have any crazy plans. You guys. Oh, maybe you know what I'm gonna do, Chance. Hopefully there's a used mountain bike at Green Mountain Sports, and I don't know if they moved locations, but they're over behind like the Starbucks is off Alameda now. It's $500, but it's a full suspension bike and it has disc brakes, and I'm really tempted because and it's an XL, which is my size apparently because I'm out of the mountain biking game. It's been many years since college since I had a really good mountain bike, so I might go buy that after I sell the PS5 digital edition, and then use that money to cover it. And then I'll be playing Mass Effect, of course. What else would I be playing right now? Maybe Control DLC. I do have the Ultimate Edition, so it has all the DLC, but I just want to play Mass Effect. So, Jose, what are you going to be playing this week, or any plans?
Same thing. My goal is to get through Mass Effect 1 this week. I'm still at work through Friday. Friday's my last day for summer break, so I won't have a ton of time in the evenings. I won't be staying up super late or anything like that. But goal to get through Mass Effect 1. If I can get into 2, obviously I'll do that. Other stuff going on. We're actually redoing my sprinkler system out front. Like I'm actually ripping out the pipes in the basement and running my own PVC and stuff. So I'm gonna do that. I'm excited to do that when I get home and get my grass looking green. Real dad stuff over here. And then like I said, last day at work is on Friday. And then actually, just thoughts for anyone that knows my mom out there. My mom's actually having surgery on Thursday. She's having a knee replacement. Nothing super scary or anything like that. She's really excited for it. We're really excited for her. But other than that, just taking care of my mom, probably getting food for my dad and my brother while they take care of her. But that's basically my plan, man. And then, of course, just enjoying summer break. What do you got, D-Welly?
Um, I just want to say, so you're replacing your sprinkler system. I probably need to tell me how much you're going to do it yourself. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so I mean, we have a sprinkler system. So I have
Okay.
pipes and heads in my yard. What I'm replacing in like from my main water line under my house, that's where my sprinkler system tees off, and it's all like copper piping under my house. And that's actually where the guy that owned my house before, he put the valves down there. Not problematic, except that if there's ever a flood, that would jack up like a lot of our decorations and stuff. And so that we're just finally gonna take care of it. And yeah, I'm gonna do the whole thing myself, run the PVC and everything. It's really not that hard. It's the effort and stuff like that. And again, I don't have to run the lines in my yard. I'm just replacing the stuff under the house,
Okay.
adding a backflow preventer, and then putting the valves out front. So a couple day project, get dirty, play with glue and stuff like that. But it'll be fun. So that's my plan for this week. Endorsement, what do you got?
Downloaded SnowRunner, which I've heard a lot of really good things about. It's like a ice road truckers kind of game. And again, it's one of those Game Pass gems that I would have in any other universe never even considered playing, but I heard a few people saying this was simply fun, and I want to try it. And thanks to this podcast and my new possible position as assistant to the co-host, I feel I owe it to the our listenership out there to try new things and tell them how I felt about it.
Just gained some good brownie points right there. I appreciate that, taking the initiative. And I really do appreciate it because if any of us are going to play these random games, it's going to be you because you're all about that. So, I want to ask you really quick, are you going to finish Maneater? And also, I have heard good things about that SnowRunner game. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts and feedback on that. So,
Absolutely, I'm gonna finish Maneater, and I depending hope to get thousand out of thousand on it. Again, it's just mindless fun, and it's not very big. I played for a few hours today, and I think I'm 50% done with the story already. It's not big. Speaking of hours, I am at 64 on Mass Effect Legendary Edition. I don't know what's up because my save says now I'm at like 193 on the game itself, the save file. So I don't know if it is because it's that always on instant resume, but then that doesn't make sense because it's been longer than that. So I don't know. Either way, but I just checked on the app and 64. So
I am at 2 days, pretty much exact. So I'm at 48 hours. So, just that's my playtime, guys. So, um, with that, N7 endorsement, where can people find you if you want to be found?
Chiefs Kingdom Chance, which and on Instagram. So the Master Chief that I have sitting here right next to me, I put that up on an Instagram story today. The first four people, and I put like, hey, what new universe are Cora and I dabbling in? And I put Halo or Star Wars. The first four answers were all Star Wars. It's a little sad. RockQuarry came through with the right answer and put Halo on there, and then Mr. Brady Hagerman knew the right answer. But past that, I was a little scared for a minute there.
Maybe you need to change your name to like XRT something. I'm just throwing it out there.
I'll
Chapo Bear.
consider it.
I would, to be honest, I've got those 500 subscribers on my YouTube channel. I'm like, I really probably should have just changed the channel to Xbox Record This, and that probably would have. Yeah, that was a big mistake. It's okay. They were there for the car stuff. Chapo Bear, where can people find you?
Instagram at Chipotle Bear, or you can find me on Twitter at Chipotle_Bear. Feel free to drop a line and shout outs. And, thanks again for listening. We appreciate all those listens out there. It means a lot.
Yeah. And like Jose said, thank you so much for everybody who's been listening. I'm really excited to do our E3 reactions video. I think we should do that for sure. And I'm excited to get Corey on here. So you can find me across all social media at Daddy Diwali. You can follow the show at Xbox Record This on all social media. You can also visit www.xboxrecordthis.com. And as always, gentlemen, see you online.
See you online.
See you online.
Yeah! Xbox Record This as a podcast created by Daniel Walenzik. You can follow him at Daddy Diwali on Twitter. You can also follow the show at Xbox Record This on Twitter and various social media. You can also find out more at xboxrecordthis.com.